The Crom's design is really cool aesthetically, but the mechanical design hurts my brain. So, let's look at this moveset. Kind of vertical, right? Yeah, very nice. Look at that. Decent amount of tracking. Look how I'm sliding. Look how I'm moving. Look at that. Oh, I hit the rock. Oh. But this cool vertical weapon hitting the rock, surely like the one-handed swords, it has cleave, right? With that vertical moveset. No. No, it doesn't. So you wanted it to excel in one area, but it doesn't have cleave. So if I wanted to hit enemies somewhat vertically, I would be dealing less damage if you had 3 or more enemies than hitting them all the same with Black Metal Sword. Or if there are just 3 or more targets in general. Like, doesn't have to be enemies, could just be like rock or wall. Rock and wall, like any other target, or some boulders, some whatever assets. Trees, bushes. Black Metal Sword actually deals more damage versus 3 hits, three smackaroos, than the Crom. Does that sound ridiculous? Yes, it does, but it's true. So, give Crom cleave number 1 fix. Easy fix. Easy fix. I hate that it doesn't have cleave. Easy fix. Number 2, let's look at this middle mouse. Huge damage outright versus enemies that are aggroed or not. This is what puts it in a niche because it has that versatility of burst damage and burst staggering that, say, Skull and Hadi doesn't have. While Skull and Hadi on the normal moveset has swiftness and quick kills, on the middle mouse, the burst damage and burst staggering is most effective versus unaggroed enemies because of that juicy 6x sneak attack modifier. Now, Crom can benefit from sneak attack, but it is also a beast on aggroed enemies, of course, that are going to be neutral to slash, like I assume some Ashlands enemies are. However, the tracking on this is just as poor as one-handed sword. So let's look at this. Let's change angle. Still the same. If I change angle with this, I'm moving all over the place. Of course, I checked with Crom. If I change angle with this, I move all over the place. If I have a move with no tracking, like this, I can go like this, and I can check enemies behind me while killing something in front of me. Not only does that look cinematic as fuck, but I'm able to save my ass if enemies are approaching and I need to take out something quick in front of me. So I middle mouse. Oh, I roll. Let's do it again. I middle mouse. Oh shit, I roll. Super swift. Of course, also there is him and awful and other at gears that we love. We love the at gear here. 6x damage to staggering modifier on the middle mouse. It is huge. We say it with me now, we spin and we win for a damn good reason. Let's look at this. Beautiful. Now that can cover you in front, in back, to the side, 360 because we spin and we win. Now let's look at the roll afterwards. Not bad, okay? Not bad. A little bit worse, but that's understandable because you have much more coverage. Let's look at the Crom. Crom, it's going to be heavier than the sword, so probably some little bit more recovery frames, a little bit slower on the roll. It is much slower on the roll. Look at the way that you have to return to a stance at the end of it, and then you roll. Look at how long the end of this animation is. That is vicious. So you hits over, and then you roll. Like, you hits over, you wait, and then you roll. Hits over, wait, roll. That wait period, the recovery frames where you have to re-stance up, it's not bad in some ways because you can do some niche spacing and avoid certain things. But because it has no tracking, you want to check enemies behind you, you want to be safe because it has no tracking, you can use that to your benefit. You cannot escape in time compared to Mistwalker, or compared to even Tim and Awful. And because of that, because of this horrible, horrible end lag on this move, it is absolutely painful for it to have no tracking. Just give it tracking or give it less end lag. So there's the fixes. Let it cleave. Number 1, that's the primary fix. Make it cleave. Oh my god, let it cleave. Number 2 is either give this thing more tracking or give it way less end lag. If we're trying to be somewhat realistic, which I think we are, right? Look at the design of this two-handed sword. It is clean, crisp. I love the fuller on it. I love the size compared to other fantasy greatswords. Can be absolutely ridiculous looking. This one has pristine. It has finesse to it. But it does not have finesse to this long-ass end lag to the middle mouse. Now, you look at certain swords in historical times, they can be used thrusting, and you just hold it out. And you move forward a little bit, and you can easily change moves with the guard. It is much more easy to mess around with. And I understand that having this varied and complex moveset translated into gaming would be a royal pain in the ass to code. And it would be nearly impossible to implement. And that's okay. But you can represent it better by not having it have this atrocious end lag. So, yeah. No bad end lag would be my choice. Whether or not it would have tracking as well, that's up to the devs. Would they implement it with more tracking? I doubt it. It seems like they might be going into an even heavier route in the Ashlands, which might be unfortunate, but still, considering how absolutely strong our characters are. I mean, look at this weapon. Look how we can just bonk endlessly with this weapon. Like, we can just, the fact that we can swing this around at all is already kind of absurd. Yes, it slows you down extremely heavily as a cost. You know what doesn't slow you down as a cost? The Crom. Got a 5% movement speed reduction. That is nothing. That's the same as the Atgear. Battle axes have minus 20%. Of course, sledges have minus 20%. But the Crom, you can run, no problem. Whee! Look at me, I'm drifting because I'm sprinting while I'm using this. Look. Whee! Look at me sliding. Yeah, it is swift and it does not slow you down that much. Do you know how much your average your Zweihander, that big ultra greatsword looking thing? Come on, grouper, give me. You know how heavy those things are? 6 pounds on average. That is nothing. That is nothing, but that's true. 6 pounds. You know how heavy your average longsword's going to be? 3 pounds on average. I'm not joking. They are light. They are light on average. Historically speaking, light. And they represented that properly by giving it a 5% movement speed reduction. Props to Iron Gate. But if you're going to have something accurately represented as light, why in God's name does it feel so heavy and uncomfortable to use? Okay. Rant over. Hope you see my point. Hope you understand. If you have things to say, do say them. Leave a comment. I want to see what you guys have to say. Crom is so clunky right now, and it doesn't have to be, because it is gorgeous, and it does have a niche. It does have that niche, and it'll definitely shine more in the Ashlands if we have more slash neutral or slash weak enemies. It just needs cleave, or else we have a risk of one-handed swords becoming more of a use than the Crom, which, I mean, it's already the case because Mistwalker, I can smack rocks all I want and hit enemies. It has cleave, it has control, it has a quicker end lag out of middle mouse. The thing is a beast. Mistwalker, love Mistwalker. Gonna have a Mistwalker guide out sometime. Gonna do a lot of testing and gameplay, Infested Minds with this character. I've got, of course, Swords 100. Love this character. Very, very fun times with this character. Now, let's look in the future. Let's look at Ashlands. Let's take a peek. Let's take a little peek at what Ashlands has to offer. Take a little look, huh? Let's look at that. Let's look at that. Let's zoom in a little bit. Oh, come on, Streamlabs. There we go. Let's take a look at this. I've already looked at this once before. Twice before. I've talked about... originally, I've reacted to it. I've talked more about elemental, like, gems and stuff. But I wanted to talk about... specifically, the design here. Looks like what they're going for is big, heavy, beefy. Big, heavy, beefy. But I'm here to argue today that this big, heavy, beefy is normal for our character. If our character is going to be swinging around the big-ass Demolisher and the Iron Sledge and Stagbreaker, this big, heavy, beefy Slayer is not actually as big, heavy, beefy as we're expecting. And I think that this Slayer is still going to maintain that 5% movement speed reduction and no change in the moveset. Hopefully they do change the moveset, but like, it's going to have the same moveset as the Crom, is what I'm trying to say. This big, heavy, beefy weapon is going to be normal greatsword style of weight relative to our fantasy Valheim character. Because our fantasy Valheim character jumps higher, runs faster, is stronger than we are. It is a beast of a character. And this character can handle this Slayer just fine. If it can handle the Demolisher fine, like swing it at all, then it can handle the Slayer just fine. So I don't think it'll be too unrealistic looking to be swinging around this big, heavy, beefy weapon with the changes that I had mentioned. Now, niche-wise, these weapons are going to still maintain their niche whether they get changed or not, right? They're still going to have that niche of, okay, I have this amazing damage and staggering potential versus an aggroed enemy or an unaware enemy. Still going to have that niche, even if they're changing up. So I'm not worried about them having a niche. What I am worried about is Crystal Battle Axe. I'm worried about the Battle Axes. We didn't get a Mistlands Battle Axe. No Mistlands Lightning Battle Axe. What a shame. What a shame. Now, I did some Sentinel Shack videos about a week or two back, and I wanted to see if the one-handed swords, now that they have cleave, do they take the niche of the Battle Axe now that they have cleave? And I was predicting that no, they wouldn't. That they don't have the depth of the swing. They don't have that mid-range that the Crystal Battle Axe provides. Boy, was I wrong. One-handed swords, now that they have cleave, completely tear apart Crystal Battle Axe and Battle Axes now that they have cleave, and of course their middle mouse has been made a little bit longer. Their normal attacks have slightly more verticality than them, so you can have fun killing leeches and such. And the Mistlands aren't as much pain with the verticality. It's still a pain. Let us aim attacks up and down, please. But still a pain. Not as much of a pain. And the one-handed swords, in my testing, completely trounce the use of the Battle Axe. Now, Battle Axes can be made a little bit faster. Because they are weighted a certain way, even if they made it 10% movement speed instead of minus 20%, it would be fine. It would be good. It would be nice. You know, our character, like I said, is strong. Our character is strong. You know, sledges I can understand because they are specifically designed to be monstrously heavy. They have this AoE that covers you, and it allows for a lot of cheesy situations, and you get in those situations pretty often. So sledge is fine as it is. It is a situational monster. Crystal Battle Axe has no situations now. Doesn't have any situations. The staggering on the Atgear is better, and it covers more area. You know, we spin and we win there. The cleaving is covered, and it has a wide arc move set, which is used by the one-handed sword. The additional range on it doesn't matter nearly as much. So the Crystal Battle Axe should be touched up. Maybe we should have some additional battle axes that have slightly faster moveset, maybe speedier, speedier regular situation where it has like less movement speed reduction. Maybe it should even have more staggering on the middle mouse. I don't know. I do know that the Iron Axe gear has more staggering on its middle mouse than the Crystal Battle Axe does. Sounds kind of ridiculous, but it's true. I understand that the Crystal Battle Axe is faster, but the hitbox is lesser, so that already is kind of balanced in that regard, so maybe you should have more staggering. Berserker Axes, though. Looks like we're getting the Berserker Axes. I love these. I love the look of these. Now, I understand I'm talking about how, like, oh man, I want new battle axes. I want new battle axes to be really good. I want them to be changed up. I want these. I want the two-handed swords to be changed up. I want the one-handed sword changes to remain the same. So what type of niche are the Berserker Axes even going to have? These little two-handed things. I don't know. What niche are these things gonna have? Well, considering all of these are elemental, and these aren't, the Berserker Axes could just have the niche that we expect the Black Metal Sword might have had, which is pure slashing, damage per second per opportunity. So your knives are going to have your damage per second per time. So just overall, you have an enemy in front of you. Maybe maybe you're flanking the enemy. Maybe the enemy's aggroed on your friend. Maybe the enemy's aggroed on your skeleton. You're a mage. You pull out your pocket skull and hottie. You go to town because you have all the time in the world to go to town, and the enemy dies quick. But if you are solo, the enemy's aggroed on you, you only have limited opportunity of time before the enemy is going to hit you. And you have to ready up by either dodging, parrying, ideally, of course, Mistwalker. You control the enemy, you flank it. You just attack until it's dead. It's just a beautiful weapon. But you have a weapon like the Black Metal Sword. It has no such control, so you have to be ready to parry, and then you take advantage of the opportunities that you have. It is damage per second per opportunity. These Berserker Axes are probably going to have the same thing, but at a level that we haven't seen before. This is going to be at a level unfathomably large that we haven't seen before. Like, these things are probably going to be damage per second per opportunity monsters. Absolute monsters. Like, oh my god. Like, if you played Dark Souls 3 or Elden Ring, you know about, like, paired curved swords, sellsword twin blades. The absolute monsters of damage per second per opportunity that they have. They're monsters. The absurd damage, Like, technically, you get your dual daggers, right? You got dual daggers, and it's the same situation in Elden Ring and Valheim, where you have your dual daggers, and sure, you can get technically better damage per second over time, but that is implying that the enemies aren't really going to counter you, and you have unlimited opportunity time. You're not going to have that usually. Because of that, and of course better hitbox, we're going to see these things shine. So already, Berserker Axes have immense potential. Immense potential. And I think that this potential, and whatever else they give it, because at Valheim, of course, you have staggering at a level which completely opens up combos and destruction for you. Berserker Axes, depending on the middle mouse, which is up in the air, they could be top tier. And this could be a top tier swap on your normal character. Maybe swap from bow to Berserker Axes, from Arbalest to Berserker Axes. Maybe you open up with the Arbalest, swap to bow, enemies still approaching, Berserker Axes. Maybe it's him and awful Berserker Axes. Maybe it's Staff of Frost, Berserker Axes. Maybe it's Slayer, Berserker Axes. Or maybe it's Berserker Axes to any of those. Who knows? It's going to be glorious no matter what. And I think it's going to be glorious, and I really don't think they're going to mess this up, balance-wise, to the point where you could give two-handed swords all the buffs that I had mentioned. You could remain and keep all the buffs that the one-handed sword has. You can keep and buff up all of the benefits that I mentioned for the Crystal Battle Axe and Battle Axes, and introduce more Battle Axes. And they'll still have their own niche. They'll have their own situation going on. They'll be viable and optimal in certain situations. And these Berserker Axes should still be able to shine on their own. So please, Iron Gate, please, 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 I implore you. I hope that these changes can be made. Let me know what you guys think. Thank you for rambling through this now 21-minute long video. You guys love my rambles in the past. I'm going to do more rambles in the future. I'm really excited for these Berserker Axes, but I also think that the jankiness of the Crom, the unwarranted jankiness of the Battle Axes now that other things have cleave, they gotta be changed. They gotta be changed, and the Berserker Axes can still be introduced, and they will be fire. I believe in Iron Gate. I believe that they can balance things out. They balanced out however many weapons now that are optimal. Yeah, they can do this too. Thank you for suffering with me, and I'll see you guys some other time. Bye!